We finally got our hands on the new Xenon Depot CMB bulbs, and today I'm going to show you guys how they stack up compared to the halogen equivalent bulbs and a couple other LED equivalents, let you guys figure out what's best for you. So let's get started. So one snag a lot of people run into when upgrading their headlights on their vehicle is how do you get your fog lights to match? Sometimes you can't run the same exact bulb, same exact setup in the fogs as you can your low beam or your high beam. And the worst thing in the world is to have a nice crisp white low beam or even a tinge of blue depending on what you do with HIDs, and then having those dainty yellow ugly fog lights down low. It just looks terrible and you know you can do better. Well, in this video I'm going to show you guys just what you can get out of a bulb like this. Now these are the Xtreme LED CMB bulbs from Xenon Depot, and the coolest part about them is they don't break the bank. They're 50 bucks, and compared to something like this, I'll show you guys a couple key differences here. This is the Xtreme LED Pro headlight bulb from Xenon Depot. As you can see, there's a massive difference both in size and construction here, and that's completely intentional. This bulb here is 140 bucks, sometimes more, sometimes less. And this is going to give you a full high power low beam or high beam depending on where you're putting it. You can run this bulb in your fog lights, but the thing is it doesn't always fit, for one, and for two, sometimes you just don't need all that firepower down low. Sometimes you want to do something extremely bright up high, low beam, high beam, and then something that just matches down low. The Xenon Depot CMB bulb accomplishes exactly that. Now one really cool part about the CMB bulbs is they're available in both 5000K and 6000K color temperatures. The beauty in that is if you're running an HID kit with 6000K bulbs, in the past you were limited to whatever you could get with LED, and it didn't always match. The worst thing, once again, is having mismatched fog lights and low beam, high beam. These particular bulbs from Xenon Depot here run at about a 5500K color temperature, and while that creates a really nice white color temperature, if you're running a 6000K or even an 8000K low beam, it's not going to match. With these, you can dial that in exactly how you want it. You can either buy the 6000K or the 5000K. There's no price difference. It's completely up to you. I'm going to show you guys a halogen fog light bulb here. I'm going to show you guys the CMB bulb. As you can see, check out the base. The base is the exact same size. Some vehicles, especially these newer vehicles, are so tight in the fog light area, you cannot get away with a larger bulb. Let me show you an example of that. As you guys can see here, in my right hand, I've got two typical Amazon bulbs. These are for sale between $40 to $80. And here's an H11 bulb right beside them. Sometimes you'll find these in a fog light application. And as you can see, that base is completely different. That's not going to fly. If you buy this and you're in any way constrained to what size bulb you can run, which, like I said, on some of these newer vehicles, that can be a problem, those aren't going to work for you. Now the H11 CMB bulb from Xenon Depot, look at that. Same base, no external drivers, no wiring, almost no thought required to install this thing. Just twist the original one counterclockwise and reinstall this one, nothing to it. No zip tie and wiring, less failure points. I love that. Now one of the most important things to consider when choosing an LED bulb is reliability. The last thing you want is to be replacing your bulb every 2 weeks because it keeps burning out. It doesn't matter how bright it is if it's burned out. Now, some bulbs on the market today are cooled with a fan, and some are better than others. Some fans last an awfully long time, some don't, but the truth is moving parts fail. We all know that. The more you've got in a system, the more likely it is to fail. This particular bulb has two different connections coming off of it for the driver, and it's got a fan. Now, depending on the vehicle, the fan might not actually even matter. If you've got the space for it, you can get away with it, and you're not driving off-road too often, a fan's probably fine. I'll give you a real-world example. In my 2018 F-150 that doesn't leave the pavement, I could run a fan-based bulb all day. It's not going to matter. Down low in the fog lights, I'm not on gravel roads, it doesn't matter. But I'll show you a little footage of my 08 Jeep Wrangler, and we took that off-road a little bit, and on that I've got everything completely sealed, running JW speaker stuff, because I don't need any gravel getting in that fan and shutting it down. If the fan fails, the bulb fails. You take a bulb like the Xenon Depot CMB here, and as you can absolutely tell, there's nothing for dirt to get into and ruin. And there's one connection right here, power and ground, that's all there is to it. It uses the factory wiring, the factory seal. You don't have to worry about water or dirt getting in there and shutting this bulb down anytime soon. So, driving in inclement weather, rain, snow a lot, gravel, you name it, pick something like this. Now there is one mistake you can make buying a bulb like this. The only time we get complaints with these bulbs is when someone mistakenly buys one that they expect to use in their low beam rather than a fog light. Now I just want to tell you guys right off the bat, this is a fog light bulb. You only run these in a fog light or a DRL application. This bulb right here may be significantly brighter than your halogen bulb, but it's nowhere near what you need to drive down the road safely. If you throw those in your low beam, you're not going to get enough light down the road. It's not a safe choice. You want to run something like the Xtreme LED Pro from Xenon Depot instead. These CMB bulbs come in at about 800 lumens, whereas the Xenon Depot Xtreme LED Pro comes in at around 1900 lumens. That's a massive difference. It's well over double, and there's a reason why. It also costs more. Just to reiterate that point, this is something that you're going to want to run in a fog light only. Now, I could stand here all day and tell you guys how great these bulbs are, how well they fit, how well they function, but the truth is it's something you need to see for yourself. So, I'm going to flip this table around, and I'm going to show you guys what a fog light like this here does and what one like this from an F-150 does, and more importantly, I'm going to show you guys what the CMB bulbs can do in them. Let you guys make the decision for yourself. So, we're going to rearrange a little bit, and I'm going to show you what these look like against the wall. So we've got a Wrangler fog light pointed at the wall right now with a stock halogen bulb in it, and as you can see, it's not very bright. This came out at 20 lux, which is your usable light output. It's the best measurement of how actually bright a bulb is, and 20 is not a whole lot. Now let's see what happens when we put the Xenon Depot CMB bulb in there. Now as you can see, we've now got that nice white color that we're looking for. This is going to match either our HID or our LED headlights. It's going to look great going down the road, and this actually picked up a good amount of brightness. This came in at 110 lux, which honestly, it's not the brightest fog light in the world, but it does match. It is white, it is crisp, it looks great, and honestly, if that's what you're going for, this definitely accomplishes that. Now let's take a look at our F-150 fog light. So the stock Ford F-150 fog lights are actually pretty decent, and these came in at 120 lux from the factory with halogen bulbs. So you can see we've got a nice left and right beam pattern, we've got a little bit of a hot spot in the middle, and these really do a good job of putting light on the road. Now let's see what happens when the Xenon Depot CMB bulbs are installed. With the CMB bulbs installed, you can see that we've still got a nice beam pattern. We haven't picked up any additional glare. We've got a nice left and right flood, and we're still at 120 lux. So we maintain the same lux reading, but we've got that nice crisp white color that we were looking for. If we're running an LED option in the low beam or the high beam, it's going to match perfectly and look great doing so. Now some people are looking for a little bit of firepower in their fog lights, and in this case with the Xtreme LED Pro bulbs installed, as you can clearly see, they are significantly brighter. These came in at 300 lux, which compared to the stock of 120 and the CMB bulbs of 120, it's over double. It looks great. We've actually got some pretty significant hotspot going on, and we've still got our left and right floods. So honestly, at the end of the day, it depends on what you're expecting from your fog lights. If you want something that's a noticeable, considerable upgrade over stock, you might want to go to an actual full power bulb like the Xtreme LED Pro. If you're just looking to match your fog lights to your headlights, the CMB bulbs are an excellent option. Now as you can tell, those CMB bulbs are one easy way to match your fog lights up to your low beam and your high beam. We've got all kinds of videos on almost every make and model possible, and if we don't have one for yours yet, reach out to us. We'd love to help you out. Thanks for watching.